Okay, so just more prep work. I tried to hold off on taking the emblems off as long as possible because I was just kind of worried that once I pried them off I wouldn't be able to reinstall them exactly the same. And sure enough, I split one in half, and these have 4 tongs in them, and of course both sides have only 2 functioning ones now, one of which was already, 2 of them were broken, but then on this guy I broke one off, so that's kind of frustrating. But I finally decided to take the quarter trim off, and this was all red before. There's a picture of it. So I'm pretty sure I got this off with 3/8 sockets, and I was able to clean up most of the red with that gone now. So you could see where the blue was never painted over, so they didn't take those off when they painted it red. So here's the passenger side. So as you can see, it's pretty good, but in the back section here, I just can't really get to any of that. And then on the inside, you see that when you're walking around the car. So I have to take this off. But, you know, I really screwed myself because when I put this like water paper on, I put it on real good because I didn't want it flying off, because I never put these panels back on my car yet, and one side came loose and came undone. So I don't even remember if I have that piece of paper for that side. I don't recall. It's been too long now. But now this guy's on here really good, and I don't want to buy another because I'm cheap. And it's gonna be a mess, and I don't really know what to do with it. And I hate doing things over again, and I know that's part of this hobby, and sometimes you just have to live with it. Yeah, like I'm pulling like the original mastic off. I just don't, you know, I don't like doing stuff twice if I don't need to. I try to map out my life where I can do without doing things twice. So I really hate this. I don't really know if this is gonna come off clean enough for me to be able to reuse it. So I don't know, but just part of the fun for changing the color on your Mustang. Wish I thought of this before I installed this, but here we go. I don't know, maybe it's not so bad. Oh. Okay, so we're in the back seat now. So somewhere, okay, let's see here. So you can see that bolt sticking out. That is one of the bolts that holds on the trim. And depending on if I can get a good view of it, that I think is another. And then I'm not sure, but I think there's supposed to be a third. There's a third stud at least, and the bolts get so the studs, they get wrapped in mastic, and then the nuts, they squish over the stud and the mastic, and that's what keeps them from kind of like vibrating while you're, you know, driving down the road. So let's see, I'm just putting the phone down temporarily. I had to change my setup from the top stud to the bottom, so I'm pretty sure what I did for the top was I used 2 mini extensions, and I'm just using a quarter inch ratchet, just because these aren't going to be torqued down a crazy amount, and I shouldn't need anything real fancy, and I want something that can get in there. So I'm using 2 extensions, and one is kind of like a little swivel socket extension, so that I could try to get the angle right. Now this is very hard to record, guys, so forgive me. So I just placed the wrench in there, and I pray to God that that's not gonna come undone on me. And I'm gonna take my left hand here, which doesn't have a glove on it, and try to finesse this on to catch the nut, which I can't seem to catch. This might be on tight enough that I'm bottoming out on the stud. So on this side, even though I didn't need it for the other side, on this side I might need a longer socket. So let me try to see if I can find one of those for a 1/4 inch. Okay, so I got a longer socket now, so hopefully we shouldn't bottom out anymore. But now I have to get rid of the longer extension and just use the shorter, and hopefully that should give me the angle I need. Wow, this is not looking as impressive as I wanted. This looks very amateur hour here. Okay, I think we're on. I wanted to record that, but let me just get this started here, and then I can show you guys. Okay, so it's hard without light. Hold on. Okay, I'm using the light on the iPhone because that makes more sense. So let's see if I could try to focus. All right, so here we go. So it's nothing impressive. It's all baby turns, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's the bottom stud. It's kind of hard to see, but you could see it's hard to see because the window regulator frame and mount is in the way. Good old Ford, you know. So I'm gonna try loosening this bottom bolt here, and hopefully I'll be able to move it to the side enough, because I can't get a socket over that right now. And I think even if I used a wrench, I think that once the nut backed off a certain amount, it would be stuck on the bottom of the regulator framework here. So I have to move this piece now. So I'm not sure if this one was ever removed, including even when Wilbur painted this car. I'll only know once I pull it off and I see overspray, if there's any overspray of the blue. But here was an unexpected side quest, and I'll try to videotape this while I work on it here. So thankfully it's just a 1/2 inch. Let's see. It's tightened down pretty good. I don't think I'm going to be able to record this at the same time. Okay, so here's what I did. So I loosened that bolt there, and only that one. I tried loosening those two. The one on the left was bottoming out on the bump stop for the glass, and I just couldn't get the right side one free with my little 1/4 inch wrench and my tiny arm strength. So I was able to wobble the backing plate, the framework, around, and so what I did was I just put the 3/8 long socket in one hand, and I pulled on the framework on another, and I forced that in there. So now I should be able to spin the socket because the side walls are really smooth, and hopefully I should be able to back that out with minimal effort now. I forgot about the little cup surrounding it. So I guess what's going to happen is I'm going to need to pull on the piece of trim from the front side to pull the stud forwards instead of just trying to pull the nut backwards. Whatever. Okay, so you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyways. So how I'm doing this by myself, I used a little clay smoothing tool thing from my college days, and I am having it lodged in the body line here and in between the trim. So this should keep enough pressure on it to a certain point where this will continue to pull outwards, and hopefully I'll be able to get this done the way I need to. Okay, so that worked perfectly because of this contour line here. So as this was loosening, this wedge tool thing was actually sliding down perfectly and forcing it out like that. And at a certain point, I had to just sit in the jam of the car and have one hand on the nut and then one hand on the trim. And eventually at some point it like swung down and free. I got it loose enough that it did that. And I think I chipped it somewhere because of that, but that's all right. It's all part of the patina. So yeah, you could see, this is all original paint, I think, on this quarter, because it's only one layer of blue and red oxide. And then there's this light gray primer beneath it, which I don't know if that's a factory thing. I don't know if that's like a sound deadening or like a factory like epoxy primer. But I think this side, well, no, because we have this yellow filler here. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at. Somewhere in here it might be feathered. I don't know if Ford used a yellow corrective filler on their body panels. I know red oxide, but that's the only layer I know of. So we'll just keep digging, and I'll start cleaning this up now.